Back in 1997, it seemed like one could barely put on the TV without hearing I Believe I Can Fly by R. Kelly. The song was so ubiquitous that it pretty much transcended the movie that spawned it. All that is to say that I still consider Space Jam an integral part of that particular slice of my childhood. So as you can imagine, the cynic in me was quite skeptical the moment I learned they were doing a sequel, all these years later. Turns out the cynic had every reason to be. Hi guys, Michael Abayemi here, and today, I'm reviewing Space Jam: A New Legacy. In Space Jam: A New Legacy, a basketball legend is sucked into a cartoon world where he must lead a team of Looney Tunes characters to victory in a high-stakes basketball match. And you'll be forgiven for thinking I'd simply read out the synopsis for the original Space Jam, because the basic premise is the same. The only difference is where once stood Michael Jordan, now stands LeBron James in his place. Following an encounter with a rogue AI named Algae Rhythm, both LeBron and his son, Dom, are trapped in the Serververse, a virtual reality world populated by the various Warner Bros. Properties. In order to escape, they must each assemble a team to play in a basketball match against one another. And while Dom gets to put together a dream team of augmented professional basketballers, LeBron gets saddled with the Looney Tunes. I went into Space Jam: A New Legacy with lowered expectations, hoping to be mildly entertained at best. I mean, it's not as if the original Space Jam was all that great to begin with, even though the 10-year-old version of me loved it at the time. So I channeled my inner 10-year-old as I attempted to enjoy the new movie for what it was. And to a certain degree, there is some enjoyment to be had with it. The premise of the movie is flimsy at best, of course. The whole thing is, after all, just an excuse to have LeBron James play basketball with some Looney Tunes, much like Michael Jordan had done in the first movie. Which is fine, since once again, no one is going into these movies expecting anything particularly groundbreaking from their stories. But like the original film, where I cared about the build-up and actual game of basketball at its center, this one seemed to lack much of that spark. I know it is probably the rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia speaking, but I felt way more invested over the course of the first movie. This time around, I was merely going through the paces and looking forward to seeing more of its updated take on the original's formula. Where the new movie tries to make up for some of those shortcomings though, was in the comedy department. Some of the jokes were actually quite funny, poking fun at a lot of the Warner Bros. Properties. But for every one of those laugh-out-loud gags, there were at least 2 or 3 that were eye-roll inducing. Space Jam: A New Legacy feels like a film that was conceptualized during a boardroom meeting between Warner Bros. Executives. It pays homage to the vast number of Warner Bros. Properties, but in so doing, fails to include much of the sports drama that made the first movie memorable. To its credit, it does try to include a story with morals about being your true self. But even that isn't enough to say what is essentially another cash grab at best, and an elaborate ad for Warner Bros. And HBO Max at worst. I'll give the film a 5 out of 10. Will you be checking out Space Jam: A New Legacy? Let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed watching this review, and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on if you'd like to see more reviews like this in the future. And until the next one, this is Michael, signing off.